And hey, everybody, welcome all to IFB Exclusive. I'm your host, New York Pete, and I hope you're ready for the inside track from our special guest. So, with us today is someone we had on IFB Interfleet Broadcasting, and we invited him back, and I'm really happy to be able to bring him on to Exclusive because it's showtime for award-winning author PJ Dudek, and it's really cool, right, to have somebody be able to come back and show us what they've done and where it's going. So let's see. I'm gonna bring them back. Here we go. And you know what? I'm gonna give you equal footing. PJ, how are you? Welcome to IFB Exclusive, man.
Happy. I'm doing pretty well. I'm getting over a cold if I sound a little raspy, but other than that, doing great. And thanks so much for having me back.
Well, absolutely, right. The whole idea when we had you come on IFB was to talk about the coming of your book, and it was so close, and we asked you to come back, and here we are for the exclusive, because the way I understand it, your book is going to be coming out. Earth's Door is days away, if I'm not correct.
Yeah, just one week away today. It's
Yes.
finally launch time. So very excited about it.
Very, very cool, and so are we, and that's why we wanted to have you on. Now, I was poking around a little bit, PJ, and I noticed this. I'm gonna put this up because I think it's really important for everybody to know that it's here, it's pre-order, and it's not only on Amazon, but I was really impressed that you're even available on Target.
Yeah, it's most of the places like that you can get it online. It's available. So like, bnn.com, Target. I also when I see it at a spot, like maybe some smaller online bookstores I'm not familiar with, it's great seeing that it's available in a lot of locations. But
It's really cool. I mean, Earth's Door. So we're gonna get into it. You're gonna tell me again. We're gonna walk through, the book itself. We want to know, a little bit of the background and how your
yeah,
characters came together. Of course, give us a little bit on yourself. But I wanted to ask you this. I think this is kind of something that I read a little bit about an author, not on our show. It just happened to be someone I was flipping through a magazine, and the author said that if they ever walk into a like Hudson News at an airport and their book is on the shelf, they'll actually go and they'll sign the book without telling anybody. So the next one that buys the book, boom. Are you gonna do that? Do you go to if you go to Target, are you gonna autograph the book and then put it back on the shelf?
that would be really tempting. I haven't thought about it much. I do know a little bit of tidbit of information I found out yesterday from the publisher I'm working with, Ballast Books. They shared that it is available actually now in one bookstore in Woodmere, Ohio, about an hour of
Whoa.
where I live. And the bookstore said I could technically go and sign it if I get
Ooh.
time in the evening. So I don't know, since bookstores
Oh.
seem cool with that, if I was at the airport and I saw my book, first of all, I'd just be like beyond thrilled. And then I don't know, yeah, I'd probably consider that for sure.
Oh, that is so cool. Look, the fans, for those of you that are watching, Erica and Chuck and Baz from Australia, thank you so much for tuning in. Hardcore fans, obviously, there'll be a lot of watching afterwards as well. I'm here with PJ Dudek, and this is about Earth's Door. For those of you that remember, you'd come on IFB Interfleet Broadcasting previously, and you were letting us know. You gave us the heads up that this is coming, and now we're just like a week. You said it's a week away. It's about from today when we broadcast this, which we are live. It's 7 days away. So if anybody wants to pre-order, they can go ahead. It's available on Amazon and everywhere else. And it's audio too. There's an audio book I think I noticed on,
That's
so
correct.
an
Yeah.
ebook and everything else. PJ, tell us about Earth's Door. Tell us what this is about.
Yeah, so the story follows main character Taryn, sort of late 20s guy who's running from some past pain, but not only issues he's like encountered and has a memory of from Earth standpoint, but he also has sort of this weird memory of more of a another place, we'll say, where he's had maybe a similar type of problem or trauma. So eventually he's sitting in a bar, he's kind of drinking away his woes, and then someone turns up who looks, like someone who maybe right out of a fantasy novel and says, like, basically, like, hints like, I know you, and you're not from here. So then the story progresses, and Taran sort of needs to discover, like, who he is, what were all these past events, how he's tied to Earth, or maybe other places. There's definitely a big sci-fi element here too. So the question is, like, is this more of like a mind game type of thing, or is there something more real to it? And so we watch Taran progress and realize who he is, and it's really about friendships as well. So he has a kind of close-knit group of friends. I kind of like I have a lot of buddies in like the cosplaying area. So a lot of the cast is involved in that as well. And so just follow them on this journey. And then I'd say as the book progresses, the stakes get bigger and bigger and bigger until, the climax at the end. So.
Well, I wanted to also bring up this. Winner of Literary Titan Gold Book Award Fiction 2024. So even before its official publication, right? It's already won an award, and it's a hefty one here. So I want to bring that up. The write-ups are really good. So everybody seems to like it. One thing that someone did mention that I wanted to also point out is that it seems to be a cliffhanger, and there's going to be, even before we publish the first one, there's going to be more. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's definitely my intent. Like, I want to write a number of stories in this world. So I also wanted this to be able to be a standalone, because I know not everyone loves series, and like some just like past writing I did, I never got to the point where I felt like I wrote something that has a really succinct ending where a character arc was fully established. So I was very, very intentional in making sure that happens. But it also sets up a lot more towards the end, asks a few more questions, kind of hints more the direction I'm ultimately going to be taking the series. So yeah, there's an epilogue at the end that I think will set up next books nicely. And I've already started working on the second book. I've been very busy mapping out plots and character arcs. I have a really good idea where I want things to end. It's kind of like that journey to get there, where honestly it's a lot of fun as an author when you have a little bit of mystery yourself. But I do have a pretty clear plan at this point. So I might have shared in our last interview, I would imagine at least 6 books. So
Excellent. So we got scoop upon scoop. I love it. That's why we do this exclusive. What's one of the greatest things that you've been able to now get out of this process? Some say it's, I'm able to get out of my head. What is it that you've gotten so far?
I think, like, when writing this book, it really did. I think movies, books, and so forth, I mean, at their core, are a form of escapism, just a way to kind of get out of the routine or everyday life. And I think writing for me was like when I go see a good movie and I really experience that sensation. Writing this book was like 5 times that experience. Like, I really was able to get in the flow for this one. So yeah, that experience was really nice. Like, I get up and just want to put more words to page. Now, I've had a lot of times when I've had writer's block and so forth. So it's not all the time that one or myself could get into that flow state. But yeah, Earth's Door really, just I was just able to knock it out really, really well, which felt great. So,
all right. So then, being that it's locked in, right?
Mhm.
It's coming out in
Yep.
a week from this broadcast. So how many times did you actually change the plot, or maybe not? I mean, did you incorporate new characters as you went along, or did you start out with this is where I'm going, and it kind of made its way that way, or did you have to rip it up and then redo it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, um, the day I decided to start the book, I really knew how I wanted to uh, kick off the characters, which characters I'd be focused on, what their personalities were, and I know I really wanted to incorporate. I follow a lot of there's a lot of just interesting UFO stories and things that are happening now in the news. I mean, there's plenty of fodder for writers if you want to go and get like inspired in the sci-fi genre. Just turn on the news, or you can. There's different books out. I think Luis Elizondo is a big name there. Yeah, I follow some of that. I'm like, it'd be really fun to take some like characters I've thought about before, and then plug them into some of this more modern. Call it sci-fi lore. And yeah, I started writing, and then got a couple chapters in, and at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm 2 chapters in, the characters are moving along. Now I really need to make sure that I know where everybody's going. So I did fairly early on put a stake in the sand of where I wanted to get to, but in the process, as I was moving towards that ending, there were definitely a few places where I had to do some rewrites. Or I'd have a character in a particular location, and I needed to get them to this other location within a set time frame. I'm like, how am I going to do this in a way that's believable and not contrived? So that posed me some fun writing challenges, and ended up being some of the parts of the book I think I'm most proud of, because it really allowed me to tie some different plot threads together in, I think, a pretty unique way. So I've eliminated. I rewrote the first chapter maybe 3 or 4 times though, because once I got closer to the end, I'm like, I really need to now
Oh,
go back to the beginning and readjust some things. And foreshadowing is an example of something I had to make sure that I was
interesting.
hinting towards certain developments in the right places. There were a few areas as I was working with editors are like, hey, it's not maybe super clear what time frame this is in until way later in the book. So I had to make sure that I was giving enough hints so that the reader could understand, oh, okay, it's this isn't a spoiler because you find out early on. It's definitely set at least a little bit in the future. So things like that.
Very cool. So tell us then, let's talk a little bit about the cover again. I mean,
Yeah.
we brought this up when you did the interview back then, but here for the exclusive as well. This is the cover you kept. You didn't change it. It looks. I made sure I got one that has your award seal on it, because that to me means a lot. So, is the cover linked to the story or not?
Yeah, it is. I think after someone reads the book, I think it would be pretty clear like how it's linked. Obviously, it doesn't tell the story, but it shows a lot of different components, like what to expect. For instance, there's those sort of a spooky scene
Yeah,
in sort of an otherworldly bottom part of the book,
yeah.
and that definitely plays in. There's um antagonists that aren't as terribly dissimilar to what you might assume from looking at this. There's also the dichotomy from more of a somewhat futuristic look at the top, but
Hmm.
then this more medieval look at the bottom. So that definitely will make a lot more sense after reading the book, but does hint
Okay.
to what you might be getting into.
Cool.
And
Cool.
yeah, even the characters here are meant to be characters that you can discover in the book in some capacity. So
Okay, so it's not something you just pulled that looks good and it kind of sort of matches. It does ring true, because I'll tell you, there's a lot I've picked up a little bit of commentary on people asking about that, and some of the authors that are out there now currently will say that book art is uh, either not so much defined, but it's linked to the story. So what you see is going to be is in or it's reflective of, versus you just have like a, eye candy to catch somebody's attention to get the book, and then maybe. And I think, I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but most of us want to have a cool cover that is, that's linked to the story, and that just
Yeah.
kind of
I
makes
feel
it
I feel the same way. Like if I read a book and then I look and the cover's like doesn't quite tie into what I read, it's, I guess there's not like the symmetry that I necessarily would hope to see. But I do think this cover really, I mean, the main thing I wanted to convey in this cover when I was talking to Jeff Brown, who's the artist, and I think did an amazing job here, was like, how do we set the right vibe? Does it need to be more fantasy, more sci-fi? And I think he really, gave good advice, showed some like prototypes, and this is where we're landed that I think captures that, like, both those sides that I'm really wanting to blend in this story.
very cool. Just a couple of shout outs to Lola and George and Bert Oliver. Thank you guys and everyone else for tuning in here with PJ Dudek. Earth's Door is his new book that's coming out a week from this broadcast, from today. We had him on Interfleet Broadcasting, and he had talked about, that it was going to happen. It's almost there, and now you're here with an award as well, and it's happening. As a matter of fact, let me go back real quick. I want to show this off because I thought this was really cool that your book's even in Target. I mean, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and you get online, and it's audio and it's ebook. But the idea that, anytime I go to Target, I end up spending so much. And if I see your book, I might be tempted to pick it up as a hardcover, although I love audiobooks. So thank you for doing that. That's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And, speaking of the hardcover, one thing I wanted to offer, Pete, to you and your channel is like, we could talk about how to do this is I'd love to give out like 3 free hardcover books to fans of your channel. So if we wanted to figure out how to make that happen later on, we can
Excellent. Well, thank you. We can there's usually what we do is we have a trivia contest, or we can, there's what we do is on air. Those that are here live with us, we can typically set something up so that, the one of the live can jump in on it, and then afterwards I can get you their info, and you can, have that set up with them. So we'll keep an eye out. Let's think something up on how that plays. So PJ, we always discuss our fandoms. You know that IFB is heavily linked to the 70s and 80s and Battlestar Galactica, the original 1978. There's plenty of others that do all the rest, right? The reimagined Galactica, there are many podcasters and streamers that do that show, and they do it justice, and the Star Trek and Star Wars and the other stuff. But our niche, lies specifically with the old Galactica. What are some of your favorites, and maybe some of the things that inspired you to write your book?
Yeah, in terms of like my areas of the sci-fi, I really enjoy. I I'm ashamed to say this. I haven't dug in deep to Galactica. It definitely was more like Star Wars, things like that. But in terms of just like sci-fi elements specifically, and maybe things that harken back to more the 80s and so forth, I do, from the like Star Trek standpoint with the original, or with Star Trek The Next Generation. I think they did a good job in taking sci-fi and also incorporating just lots of universal human themes, and balancing that within cool new worlds and so forth. And again, that's something that I think my book does, and that I'm also trying to do is, I think a setting's only as good as sort of like in my opinion, like the human story that's being told within it. And I think that does, tie back again to some of the themes of like, Star Trek. And I think a lot of sci-fi, uh, even if like looking at something like Dune, which I know there was like an old movie, I think back in the 80s. I haven't seen that yet. I've seen the modern one, but again, they really go deep into a lot of like human experience and so forth, which I really like. So I don't know if that answers the question. Again, I need to dive into Galactica because I've heard a lot of great things about it. So
It's good. It's good for what it is, and it still plays well.
mm,
However, um, let's let's talk a little bit about influences, and then I have an idea to toss around for the giveaway, which we're very appreciative. Thank you very much for doing that. But what if anything influenced you in terms of the story of your book?
yeah, the story in terms of more the setting, the characters, both. I can definitely go into detail with any of that, but maybe I can start with the setting
Yeah,
actually.
for
So,
sure.
I think I definitely grew up as a huge like fantasy fan, but I think there's
Okay.
just so much like Lord of the Rings, Narnia, and so forth. Some more like smaller niche ones, but that really gave me the love for reading that I had, especially when I was a bit younger, had a little bit more time, just devoured those, and that inspired me to want to write. So then I wrote some of my own fantasy stories, like in the early 2000s and so forth, kind of created different worlds and ideas. And I think as I've gotten older, I wanted to do something a little beyond just fantasy, and that's when I got the idea again because I really enjoy jumping into the rabbit hole of some of the more modern UFO narrative that's going around and so forth, because that's almost like a sort of a sci-fi feel that's just going on right now. Like I'd love to try to couple the two. Like, what if I took some of my ideas from the fantasy genre, some of the characters that I've thought about, and then insert them into a world that has all these like sci-fi elements, but that are based on a lot of more modern um, lore, again, around UFOs, things like that. As
Cool.
I mentioned
Whoa.
earlier, there's so much you can work with. I'm sure a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
are like Tic Tac UFOs, and you got David Grush, who's going to Congress and talking about,
Yep.
um, you know,
And
non-human entities, all sorts of just wild stuff. That's
yep.
at a minimum really fun to think about. So I took a couple of things I really loved, combined them, and that created the setting for the story.
Wow. That's really cool. And we're really happy to be able to you know kind of enjoy this book that's coming, right? We're kind of happy and going along with you with this, and it's kind of fun, living vicariously. You got this. You came to us before, and now we're here, and we're just days away, and it's happening. I have an idea. I'm going to throw this at you and see what you think. I was thinking maybe we have a little bit of an observational question based on your cover,
Mhm.
and I have a question, and I was thinking that maybe the first three that are on with us live that come up with the correct answer, we would then get figure out a way to get them a copy. Hard, you said hard copies of the book.
Yeah, hardcover. So we
Whoa.
got one right here.
Oh,
So you
look at
get
that.
one of these.
Okay.
So
Well, okay, so what if we asked our audience that are here with us live right now if a question? So I noticed that in the cover there's a design, and it's specific and deliberate. And maybe if we have them, they have to find something in the cover. Do you think that would be cool enough to merit a book?
yeah, there's like one thing I'm thinking of in particular that's a very small aspect of the cover.
Okay.
That maybe I could give a hint that is relative to both the top portion and the bottom portion in some way. So if you can
Whoa.
let me know, what that is or what you think that is.
Wow.
That's one idea. So
Okay, my idea was a little more like there's specific things going on in part of the book, and they repeat themselves. And I was gonna say, if you know the first three that come up, it's your book, your rules. So whatever you want to do, we have a few minutes. Let's. What do you think?
yeah, why don't we go with yours? Because it's a
Okay,
little more general.
all right.
So maybe coming up with something that does at least
There are
somewhat
windmills.
tie into the story, and I can confirm that.
There what look like windmills in the cover.
That's
Okay.
right.
So the first three they can come up with the correct number of these futuristic or something. It's kind of like weird windmills. The first three of you that can come up with the right number of them are going to get a hard copy, courtesy of the author, and they're going to be autographed, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, autograph, can mention IFB as well, and
All right, cool. So there it goes. Make it easy, Lola. I did. There's how many windmills are in the cover of Earth's Door? As they're doing that, PJ, please tell me the song of Imaru.
yeah, I think Song of Amaru.
Okay,
Yeah.
what is that?
So one thing I needed in the book was like another language I could reference. Um, so I just was trying to think through some like ancient languages that I could use. Again, not as heavily as like someone like Tolkien. I'm not going to profess to be scholarly as him, but again, I needed something. Amaru means light in Sumerian, so you can look at this like the Song of Light, Earth's Door.
Cool. All right. And so how linked to is it linked to the overall, or is it one character that's involved with that, or can you tell us, or was that too much?
That's definitely broader than a single character.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay,
yeah, there's
cool.
definitely sort of like a um classic, light versus darkness, good versus evil, how can they coexist type of theme that underpins a lot of the story as well. So that's kind of that definitely plays into, and then the characters are navigating that paradigm.
Cool. All right. We're getting I'm just going to there's three books available. So you guys can guess all you want, but if you look up the book and you look up the cover, it's on Amazon, it's out there, it's all over. Keep going, Lola. It's there. So the first three of you that come up with the right answer. So PJ, you have an answer to the question, right? How many of those windmills are on your
Yeah, how
cover?
many total are
Yeah.
on the cover,
How many
right?
total on the cover? Because I have a number in my head, and we'll have to go with a reveal very shortly. But I figure, what the heck? No,
Yeah,
there's no
making sure I'm
scenario.
getting the number right myself. And to be clear, we can say the front of the cover, since I don't think everyone has access to the back.
Okay,
So
cool.
just what you
So
could see, just what you can see.
exactly, there we go. I think that's going to work perfectly. It's been quite the pleasure to have you on. I will point out that on the cover it says one. There is a numeral one. So obviously there's got to be more than one,
Yeah,
which you
that's
have said there
intentional.
is, and that's very cool. And we're really really happy that you took the time out to come with us on IFB exclusive, and you did the regular IFB. I expect that when we are ready to do the next one, that we would actually do that one. You'd come on as well, and very very cool. I'm getting a couple of messages. You gotta send them to me on the chat, guys. Come on, you gotta put up your observations on the chat, and I will then forward those to our guest, PJ Dudek, who is the award-winning author for Earth's Door, and book is coming out the 29th. The
That's right.
29th.
Yep.
So you can pre-order it now. It's available at Barnes and Noble. It's available on Amazon. You can get a copy through believe it or not, Target as well. So most outlets will have your book, which is so cool. I also want to mention that there is audio and ebook. So for those of you that want, to do the audio, that's good as well. So I will forward you numbers privately, PJ, and I will tell you who forwards me numbers, and then you'll tell me if they're correct, and then if they are, three of you stand to win. So if you don't get a chance to put them up in the chat here, you can send them over to IFB info@interfleetbroadcasting.com, and that's that I'll get that, and I will then forward those over to PJ so we can figure out how to get those books to you. Thank you everyone for watching. PJ, last words.
Yeah, just thanks again so much for having me on. So it's been great talking with you, Pete, and your audience about the book. Always, it's a blast answering these questions. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And again, we're gonna have you. Okay, so looking good, guys. All right, we got some numbers here, and we will. PJ and I will talk about what is acceptable off air, and then you guys will be contacted. Thank you very, very much for taking the time out and coming back to us. I'm glad we had a chance to. Let me put the book up again, because we're going to wrap, but there it is. So hopefully you guys, there it is. Boom. Just a little bit more of a plug. This has been a pleasure. All the best. Fans fuel the fleet. Here's to you. Here's to the success of Earth's Door. And hopefully we'll have more to come, PJ. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks again, Pete. I really appreciate it.
Mm.
Thanks everyone watching as well. Really do appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching live now. And thank you for watching in the rerun, right? This is going to be up on our sites. Thank you for watching. Sometimes these things hit, in the tens of thousands. Many thanks to all of you for watching now and later. So have a good one. Stay safe. And Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over on IFB Interfleet Broadcasting on social media. Please tune in, and see you guys later. Take care for now.